So today we are going to welcome Andrew Johnson. So Andrew Johnson is a managing launch director from the US core region supporting online launches in 2020 and 2021. Andrew is part of the director team that helped a chapter launch in 1 day. 1 day? And solo launched a group that chartered in 8 days. Holy, that is fast. Before you give him too much credit, he also had a core group get stuck and take 6 months. Wow. Andrew has seen the elements that lead to a rapid launch that leads to healthy chapters and learned from mistakes that many new launch directors make. Andrew's launch superpowers are resiliency, unyielding optimism, and an unshakable passion for BNI. He is excited to share some winning formulas to help launch chapters faster, rocketing the group into massive success in their first year.
Awesome. Well, I am so excited to be here. This is a career highlight to be able to share on a national conference. I feel like as a member and as a director, just learning so much from all of these legends and to be able to give back is just makes my heart happy. So we're going to talk about how to launch faster. What are the keys to a rapid chapter launch? And a little bit about me. My name is Andrew Johnson, like you said, but I'd show this picture of me with the kids because I just got really connected with what we're doing with BNI, especially on the launch part. If you put people together and give them a chapter, what that will allow them to do for their business is more of what they love. So for me, it's this. It's sitting on the couch, reading a bedtime story, and like who I am is like my family has a phenomenal life. And it's incredibly fulfilling to me to get the people that I work with more if they want. So whether it is traveling more, having a greater impact in the world through what they do, or taking care of your family, if we launch more chapters and connect and support more people through BNI, it's really an amazing way to make an impact in the world. So my background is in fitness coaching and fitness events. That was what I joined BNI as a member. I would put people together, I would coach them to help the struggle to maintain results or do the hard thing long enough to see the results. But sometimes in these things you're like, well, I'm not you, or I don't have this. So I just wanted to share kind of my background and my superpowers of being a connector, helping people, always being a coach. And my business was Farm Strong Coaching, where I would coach people with their fitness from the seat of a tractor. So background as a 5th generation farmer. Part of this gives me the unique perspective of like, I've been through some hailstorms, figuratively and real and literally in life, and understanding how to come in that. So I have a lot of resiliency. I'm an optimist. I find a way to get things done, and no 2 days on the farm are ever the same, just like the way no 2 days in launch are ever the same. So, if you get to surround yourself with the dreamers and the doers, the believers and thinkers, the people who see greatness within you, even when you don't see yourself, now to be able to pay that back, I get to live an incredibly fulfilled life. So let's get into launch. I was hired, and if you hadn't heard of me before and you took a shot on this breakout session, I'm incredibly honored because I haven't been a director a very long time. I was hired in 2020, March 20, and that was there was a big moment in the world that. So it was for the good and the bad, it was the best time ever to get hired. I didn't know another way. The pandemic and going to BNI online brought the world together, where I got the opportunity to train under some of the best of the best. And then we got to create a winning formula of what works in the right now. So I'm going to just say some of my launch accomplishments. This isn't to brag, but this is just what we've been able to do over the past year and some of the results that I would hope that the people who are watching this session can do for their chapters. So I was lucky enough to launch the first online only chapter or started online to charter online. They chartered May 28th of last year. They just passed their first year anniversary. And in their first year, because of their aggressive start and doing it anyway, they passed 2.3 million US dollars. I project managed different launches. I did 3 launches in a 10-day window. One of them was that 6-month launch. So it was taking so long, but I will just say I learned a lot from a chapter that struggled as much as I learned from a chapter that's had success. I know what not to do as much as I know what to do. One of the launches that was part of that 10-day launched in 6 meetings where they got together 6 times. And by their 6th meeting, they had enough to charter. Like Michael said, we launched a chapter in a day. And I did that as part of a big director team. So that was a special case, but on my own helped launch a chapter in 8 days. And now as a manager, my team has launched 10 chapters so far in 2021, including first-time launch directors launched their first chapter ever in 6 weeks or less. So how do we do it? And also, before we get into how we do it, do we want to do it? Do we want to launch faster? Because I think sometimes it can occur as a rapid chapter launch could be like, hey, we're cutting corners, we're sacrificing quality, or we just got to get one. Or, hey, we're going fast for fast state, we're getting vanity stats, or there could be carelessness in there. So I want to say when we launch faster, this is what we're doing. It's intentional launch. There's a high integrity. We're going to do the things we say we do. There is massive action. There's growing professionally. And when we do a rapid chapter launch and we just take on growing a network, it's actually networking, so we're not sacrificing quality, even though we're going fast. All right. And for me, when I put groups together and I'm interviewing applicants, I'm looking for 3 things. And I'm sure if you've launched a chapter, it's similar for you. But 1, be exceptional in what you do. 2, be a team player. So back up to number 1, like if I'm going to give somebody a referral, it's my reputation. I want somebody who's good. So at the end of the day, we do make sure we do our due diligence. We are calling references. We do all of this stuff to make sure that they're a quality professional that I would give my best client to. But then number 2, it's a team. You got to make sure they're a team player. If I'm putting a mortgage professional and a real estate agent together, but they don't want to work together, that's not going to be a great chapter. So I do want to make sure that these people not just are great at what they do, but they also want to work and help each other. They want to become a team. And then number 3 is, do you have some capacity to sponsor? Because if you don't, we're not going to go anywhere. We're not going to launch. We're going to be grinding. We could play BNI. So that might be a good person to add to an existing chapter, but definitely not in a launching chapter. And I will say, if we're not launching at a predictable or an aggressive timetable, we're probably not doing all of these things. If we're not growing, if we're not being a teammate, if we're not inviting and sponsoring, we're probably just putting people who are really good at what they do together, and we're not launching. All right. So rapid chapter launch is like a plane takeoff. Meaning at first it's slow. We got to make sure we have the right drivers. We got to the right leaders, the right people with the right vision. So a plane, if you imagine at a terminal, it's sitting there, you do the pre-flight checklist, and then the plane drives like a car, right? It could fly, but it's driving slow. And so then when you're ready to launch, when you put a core group on the board, what does the pilot do? It goes full throttle. The engines roar to life. That plane and those engines give it everything they have to get off the ground. And so we create that in rapid chapter launches. Like, we're doing daily work. We're actually building our chapter every day, which is different than the BNI cadence of a weekly cadence. All right, but once you get off the ground, the pilot will throttle back. They'll develop a cruising speed and a cruising altitude, and that is more of the weekly cadence. And so it's not always going to be this frenetic of a pace, but we do it to get off the ground so that we can default into that cruising altitude. All right, so the elements of a rapid chapter launch is a daily build. And I like this analogy of like you're building a house. If you imagine multiple different teams doing multiple different things, and you as a launch director just kind of project managing it all and putting it together, it doesn't feel like BNI yet. It's all about the build. But if I'm like, I'm going to give this chapter to these people in 6 weeks, we have to get the job done. All right. And so when we focus on the build, different people can do different things, and doing it daily is a big component. You also need a mechanism to track it. Like, where are you building? So in my teams, we use an app called Trello and communication channel through WhatsApp. It doesn't necessarily matter what you do, but have a workspace and a communication channel where there's something happening every day. Love this quote from Robert Kiyosaki. He's the guy who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He says, the richest people in the world build networks. Everyone else is trained to look for work. And as launch directors, we don't just build chapters. We actually build chapter builders. You get to be a coach. You get to level up the skills of the members who build their own chapter. All right, so number two, another element of a rapid chapter launch is leadership. Core groups need a passionate and dedicated launch director consultant. All right, so some of us are like this, Shia LaBeouf, do it. Make your dreams, just get your chapter. It's gonna be so good when you get your chapter, right? And so a lot of us know it goes beyond this, and it takes a little bit more emotional intelligence and tact. And so I wanted to talk and maybe get some feedback if you guys want to post in the comments. Are drivers born or made, by your opinion or by your experience? Do you find a driver who is naturally talented, or do you, do you make him? Do you coach him up? And Michael, I'm not seeing a chat, so maybe it's just not on my window. Maybe it's because of the subtitles, but let me know what you guys think. So my thoughts, what's that?
I would say both.
Both, born or made. Yes, both. Yeah. Right. And so from your experience, sometimes you look and you're getting different performers, or you get somebody who just starts killing it. They're bringing in a bunch of people. Some people will maybe sponsor one every once in a while. And some people are just like, is their chapter built yet? Like, carry me to the top of the mountain. Right. And so sometimes we look at finding, and a lot of the launch content that's on BNI Business Builders is about finding your driver, finding and attracting the right talent. And I want to change the paradigm of that a little bit. I have a quick video I want you to watch, and it's called by the Pygmalion effect, if you've ever heard about it.
The Pygmalion effect is the phenomenon whereby higher expectations lead to higher performance. It can be best understood by a circle where our beliefs about another person's abilities influence our actions toward the other person. This action has an impact on the other's beliefs about themselves. The beliefs about themselves cause the other's actions toward us, which again reinforce our beliefs about that person. And so on and on and on. Let's look at an example and start with your beliefs. Imagine you are the coach of a basketball team, and you observe your team on the first day. Chris and Joe are new members of your team. Chris reminds you of a famous player. Joe reminds you of an annoying boy from your high school years. Unconsciously, you decide what to expect of each one of them. Your beliefs influence your actions. When Chris enters the court, you are happy to see him. When he plays, you push him to do better, practice harder, stay an extra hour. If he makes a mistake, you explain to him how to improve. When Joe comes in, you hardly notice him. You're glad to see him score, but you don't give him much feedback and don't invest extra time in his training. When Joe does a mistake, you are a little annoyed. Your actions impact their beliefs about themselves. Chris feels you appreciate him, and he appreciates you in return. He believes in his own success. Joe feels you have little patience and appreciation for him. He does not believe in his own success. Their beliefs about themselves causes their actions toward you. Chris finds more and more joy in playing, and he never misses a training session. During the games, he gives 100% all the time. Joe finds less joy in playing than before and doesn't give his full effort in the games. He starts to miss the training sessions sometimes, which reinforces your beliefs about them. You see how Chris enjoys playing, how he trains hard and shows a fast increase in his performance. Joe seems not to be very motivated. His skills don't increase as much, and he starts to show up less. You knew it right away. Thank God your instincts were right.
Thank God your instincts were right. And sometimes we make those judgments. Hey, an accountant during tax time, oh, they're really busy, so I'm going to treat them like they're busy. And then they show up like they're busy. I think one of my ways that I've been able to have success is when I joined BNI, I looked at everybody like, oh my gosh, these are the businessy business people I've ever seen. These are the people who have it all together. They're super talented. I've seen them in the community. And so I found this meme is like, people are looking for an adult, but an adultier adult. Sometimes we look like that. Like if you look at that, like, oh my gosh, if you run a business, you're capable of being a leader. I mean, launching a chapter is, you can absolutely launch it. So seeing your applicants, like everybody is an all-star for a team, and then coaching them, if we believe in the Pygmalion effect, coaching them and having them show up to reinforce our beliefs. All right. Because all of these people, if you just like really get connected to who they are, to their community, they're leaders. If they run a business, they're a leader to specific theirs. So how do we make them a leader in this process and to you? And so if I bring back that bell curve, instead of trying to find people who are great drivers and some people aren't, and I just have to find them, what I believe is there's different levels of management that a launch director takes to really unlock your applicant's success. All right. There are going to be some unicorns, right? They're going to be self-starters. They're just going to naturally figure it out. And you tell them to do something, they're going to do something. Most people will need a little coaching and guidance to have success. And for me, if you're like me, that seems super reasonable. If I'm new to something, I need a little coaching and guidance to have success. So if you take on everybody who comes into your chapter, what level of management will it take for me to them to unlock them to be able to produce? All right. Because for me, instead of just trying to find them and having them reinforce your belief of whether they're going to be a driver of your chapter or not, you can say, well, how can I work with you so you can be a driver? All right. So number 3, elements, you have to transfer the passion from the launch director to the applicants. So like really get clear of what these people are signing up for. It's not just to join BNI, it's to be part of a launch process. I know we're getting a little bit short on time, but there's a ride at Disney World with a green ticket or orange ticket. It's called Mission Space. And the orange ticket is the more intense version of the ride. The green ticket is a less intense version of the ride. And there's warning labels on the two. The orange is like over the top on these warning labels, and the greens are like, yeah, it's going to give you a thrill, but not too much. More people actually pick the orange ticket than the green ticket. The wait times on the orange ticket are significantly longer than the green ticket. And so launch, is there more work? Yeah. But I would just be really upfront about what we're asking them and why it's actually of value to them. How many of you have heard of Parkinson's law? This is the phenomenon that hey, if I have homework due Tuesday, when am I doing my homework? Monday, right? The size of the work is going to expand into the task that you give it. So if what I've seen in launch is people are building to a number, but if nobody ever tells them when they need to do it, when do they do it? Someday, one day, hopefully one day. But if you say, hey, we're building a chapter in 6 weeks, when are we going to build the chapter in? 6 weeks. And so it's amazing the power of a commitment and a goal or a deadline or a date that you're working towards. So if you think of what you can create for nothing as why as launch would be an advantage, they get the team they want, the culture they want, the results they want, and then don't make launch a plan B. As a launch director, you should be so like committed that what you have to offer your applicants is actually the best place to be in BNI. So for me, there's this chapter where I am. If I were to join this group, there is $5.6 million. There's 91 other people. Let's say my chapter or my spot is open. Would I join this? Probably I would. But, I got present to, there is the average referral per member per week is about $1,200. Everybody shows up on average with about $1,200 in this chapter to give away. So if that's out there and you guys have successful chapters in your regions, why would I want to launch? Well, the reason you want to launch is you get training and support from a launch director of actually how to build and bring in the people. When you figure that out about how to find the golden goose, truly you're unstoppable, right? It is the most powerful and impactful tool that you can have in BNI is understanding how to sponsor. Do I just give you a chapter or do I teach you how to build a chapter? And then going forward, you'll have those skills to get whatever you want out of networking. All right. So number 4, if a rapid chapter launch is, you got to keep it simple. It's about growth, connecting, and empowered inviting. Chapters need 2 things to grow: the desire to do it and the knowledge how, right? I love this from Tim Roberts. He talks about that's why referrals happen, is people have to they have to think of you, and then they have to know how to generate a referral for you. It's the same thing about building a chapter. Make inviting simple and generous. All right, because I love this. I did this thing in Texas, and it didn't land as well, but it's Canadians, we all know about snow. Imagine you shoveled the walk for somebody. What are some, and you get your house done, and you go to somebody else's, you offer to shovel their walk. What are some potential responses that you could get? People would be like, wow, thank you. That would be amazing if you offered to shovel my walk. Some people would be like, yeah, thanks so much. I'm actually trying to get my 15-year-old kid to do it. I'm trying to teach him responsibilities. So like, thanks for no thanks. Some people, next time it snows, would come up to your house and shovel your walk. I know in me, I have this neighbor that I shovel their walk, and then they bring me cookies, because that's how they show love, is like doing those things. Inviting is very similar. It's, hey, if you're inviting to be a connector, if your applicants feel like they're spending or they're building social capital, if I'm offering to shovel somebody's walk, it's an incredibly generous thing, whether they want it or not. Either way, the person who wanted their 15-year-old son was like, wow, that was really nice of my neighbor to do that. If you're offering to connect them to someone else, that's incredibly generous thing. And so to make inviting fun and something they want to do every day, you have to teach your applicants how to feel like what they're doing, the action they're taking, is actually building their social capital, not spending their social capital. I love this quote from Phil Berg. Invite people you care about to meet the people you care about, keeping it super simple. When people really get this, inviting is fun, and inviting is actually something they want to do every day. So as launch directors, we got to be like Crush the Turtle. If you've seen Finding Nemo, you know what this is like, but he's like, hey, we're going to launch fast. We're going to do it. And there's going to be people like Squirt. And he's like, yeah, let's do it, dude. And there's going to be people like Marlin, like, whoa, this is kind of scary. But, Crush the Turtle is super fun. And it just makes it super safe to take a chance. All right. And so as we're launching up, what you have to offer people in Launch Director is a group of people who challenge and inspire each other, the opportunity to spend a lot of time with them, and will change your life. Being a launch director is truly giver's gain. What you do is you get lots of touches with your crew that speeds up the referral process. You get to be a coach as a way a support director can't. There's a lot more interaction with your applicants. And when you really get connected to your purpose and the super connector that you are, when you find something you love to do, you'll never work a day in your life. So I appreciate the time today. I see one of my mentors, Shirley Town, is logged onto the call. But Shirley, thank you so much. And Michael, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Andrew. Thanks for everything. It was a great presentation.